Oh, hello, dearies. Mrs. Doubtfire here to tell you a little story in the voice of a very small man sitting in a closet. This isn't a very good Mrs. Doubtfire impression, in my opinion.
How's it going, guys? Nice Guy McFly here with the very first Storytime episode. A supposed to be easy to make series, but it probably won't work that way. I decided I'd start off this little video with a fun fact for you guys. Ever want to listen to a song on YouTube on repeat? Well, if you right-click on the video, a little box will pop up and one of the options is loop. Click on that and the video will automatically repeat itself when it ends.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Now this is a new series I wanted to try out that won't require too much effort, you know, just telling stories about my life and experiences. Every once in a while I'll take out this Tanamongu mask, put it on, and over-exaggerate my story to an insane degree. If I could clone Tanamongoose, I would have 1,000 Tanamongeese. Let's start off with a little background, alright? My dad liked to save up his money and air miles so we could go on awesome trips every year. Owning a local business certainly helped. It was about 2010, I think. My dad took me and my mother to Punta Cana, which is located in the Dominican Republic. He took me there to learn to scuba dive. Now, being someone who wanted to be an astronaut most of his life to get the feeling of zero gravity and weightlessness, but couldn't because I don't have perfect vision, scuba diving was the next best thing. I learned pretty quickly and actually did real well on the actual underwater stuff, though I had to take the written test twice. Had to take my driver's test 5 times. Don't want to be driving on the road with me. They're very strict here. So with that, I was one of the people included on the scuba trips my dad and his friends had. One of which was to Placencia, Belize in 2012, where our story begins. Placencia is a beautiful place, but the people there don't have a whole lot of money. So a pretty decent amount of them, we were told, resorted to thievery. So we stayed in what was essentially a poor man's Fort Knox. You think I'm joking, but the wall surrounding the house was like 15 feet high, had a gate that required a passcode, and if you opened the wrong door in the morning, well, congratulations! You get the Accidental Scumbag of the Day award for waking everybody up because you wanted to see the sunrise. That alarm was super loud, dude. Like kids in China were losing sleep over the volume. Now, we had went to Placencia to scuba dive with whale sharks, which we did end up doing. 3 of them at once. You couldn't have gotten any more lucky. However, I'm not here to talk to you about experiencing swimming with bus-sized fish at 130 feet below sea level, because, you know, that's interesting, but it's not exactly comedic. No, I'm here to tell you about something much more absurd that happened. To give you a little bit of honorable mentions on the way that I couldn't make into a whole story because they were just fun little highlights of the trip, let me start off with telling you that their water was not in bottles. It was in plastic bags. I wish I had a picture to show you. Hopefully I'll find one and post. You either ripped open the bag and poured the water in a cup like a normal person, or you drank directly from the bag, which was just weird. We also went to get fruit as a snack one night, and when my mom cut the fruit open, there were maggots inside. And that was not included in the ingredients. I also ate a bite of a burger at a place called the Green Parrot, and the patty was green. At first I thought it was just a stylistic thing for their food, you know? Green Parrot. They put green food dye in the burger. That must be what it is. That makes sense, right? Nope. No, not at all. It was mold. I had a grape soda for dinner that night. Now, the story I remember most, and the story that is my favorite out of any story or experience I've ever had, was during a day out diving. It was the very first time I ever got seasick. I forgot to take the necessary precautions to not be throwing up my breakfast over the side of a boat. Now, we were about to go on another dive, so I had 2 options, both of which were not fantastic, not in the slightest. I could stay on the boat and get even more sick, or I could go dive with everyone else and risk throwing up in my regulator, having to clear it out, put it back in my mouth, and clear it again so I'm not sucking in seawater, and then continue on with the dive, while being 60 feet below the surface. That wouldn't induce a panic attack at all. No, how could it? I didn't have much time to ponder or think about it, though, because my dad got a brilliant idea. There was a small island not far from where we were anchored. Didn't look like it had anyone or anything on it, just a deserted island. So my dad decided I could stay on the island, you know? That makes sense, right? As a 14-year-old, by myself. It was a fantastic display of parenting skill, you know? My mom still hasn't let him live it down. The island did not have a dock, so they essentially threw the sick preteen kid overboard so he could swim to it himself, which did not help with my already present seasickness. They had told me they'd come back and pick me up after the dive, so I just had to chill on the deserted island with nothing to do, just baking in the sun. So I just sat on the island, trying to gain, my balance and stop being sick for, 20 minutes. I decided to go to the center of the island, you know? I didn't have anything to do, and it wasn't very large. I could walk around the thing in maybe, 30 minutes, so I was like, yeah, let's just explore. There was, this sheet metal shack in the center, and I was pretty curious about the whole thing, so that's where I was headed. On my way there, I encountered a beagle. Because, those are totally native creatures to the Caribbean. Never seen the Caribbean water beagle? Dude, it's a crazy species. Then out of nowhere, a dude comes out of the shack and calls for the dog to come back to him. I was not alone on this supposedly deserted island. Oh boy. Thankfully, this dude was cool. There was another guy with him there that didn't speak any English, and of course the dog. They explained that they were the security guards for the island, and they were the poorest equipped security guards I have ever seen. The guy who spoke English didn't even have a shirt. I spent the next 2 hours playing with the dog and playing checkers with the English-speaking guy, and he beat me every time because he was really good at checkers and I was not. My dad and crew show up eventually, and I wave farewell to the low-budget security dudes. We headed back to where the dive shop was. Dive's over, time to eat and go home, you know? My mom's waiting there for us. It's a happy ending. It's a great ending for everybody. Now, naturally, she's a mom. She's got to worry a little bit, you know? So she asked if anything went wrong, because she had this odd feeling that something just wasn't right at some point. Something was wrong, and she wanted to know what the situation was. To which I replied in my very prepubescent voice, "Oh yeah, I got sick. I'm better now. Voice correct." My mom seemed to be relieved. Until I added the little detail that her goatee-sporting husband left me stranded on an island by myself with 2 dudes he didn't even know were there. Never in all my life have I ever heard my mom scream the word "what" so loudly and angrily. To this day, they say on that fateful beach, you can hear the screams echo through the night of a Hispanic woman going, "What?" Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little departure from what my content has been so far. I apologize for, again, still not knowing what I'm properly doing with visuals. I wanted this to be really easy to edit, and originally I was going to record myself with a camera in my room and such, but my room's boring, and it doesn't have a very interesting backdrop. The lighting's terrible. The acoustics freaking suck, so that's not going to work. And it's a little bit weird if I have a camera just sitting in my closet and I'm just recording myself in there. Because you're just seeing me sitting on a beanbag chair with a microphone next to me, and there's a bunch of clothes in the background, and that's just kind of weird. Let me know if you guys want to see more of this stuff in the future. I've got plenty of stories to tell, and I would be glad to share them with you. I would also like to thank everyone for just the insane level of encouragement and fan art at such an early stage. 8.4K subs in about a month is it's pretty small in the grand scheme of things. But in the time I acquired it, it's incredible. And I truly am touched, and I did not expect this to happen. For those of you who don't follow me on social media, I plan on doing a Q&A at 10,000. So once we reach that milestone, expect me to make a short little video explaining the details. Thank you guys again so much. Seriously. Here's hoping I will eventually be able to do this as a job and entertain you guys for a living, because I'd be in love with doing that. I'll see you guys in the next one. I am working on some more stuff. Bye-bye.